Turning Torso, the tallest, narrowest, and perhaps most ambitious construction project in Swedish history.
It's a little bit windy.
These men face a daunting challenge: to help turn a piece of artwork into this 190-meter-tall tower block. Their mission: build one level in only 7 days. They'll have to battle danger.
Can't see him.
I don't know what to do.
The equipment, and crushing hangovers.
I don't got no girlfriend.
To keep the project on schedule and the bosses happy.
I earned some good money here, so I can buy me a bottle of whiskey.
7 intense days on the 36th floor, 120 meters above ground. The brochures are printed, the flats are on the market, and tenants are scheduled to move into Sweden's new tower rise in less than a year. When complete, the building will measure 54 stories tall and twist 90 degrees on its way up to the top floor. A project of this scale is unprecedented. On a clear day, the condo owners will be able to see for kilometers in every direction. The tenants are ready, but will Turning Torso be ready for them? The project is a huge gamble for the company footing the bill. The only way to stay on schedule and on budget, construction crews will have to work a grueling 80-hour week. They will have a week to rest in between shifts, and then it's back to work until the building is complete. But there's more at stake here than company profit. The future of Torso's new home, the small town of Malmö, depends on the success of the project. It's 6 a.m. on Thursday, and brothers Thomas, Ulrich, Jan, Patrick, and the rest of their 21-man crew are ready to take on the first of a hellish 7-day shift. They'll face winds reaching 72 kilometers per hour and temperatures that can plunge below freezing.
I prefer the summer.
Tough situation creates tough guys.
Forget the underground, theirs is a whole different commute. A lift hanging precariously off the side of the building hauls the crew to their office, 120 meters above ground.
How do you like it? Is it okay?
After a brief ride, they step out into a whole different world, where a gust of wind could send a man to his death. The crew is smart, tough, and fast, but they can't go it alone. To raise and build a 400 square meter floor, they'll need the help of this. It's called the Automatic Climbing Structure, the ACS. And the 36th floor will soon rise up around it. Its sleek facade hides 64,000 tons of steel and concrete, which keep the building aloft. And the automatic climbing structure is the muscle that makes it happen. The ACS shapes the building's concrete floor by floor. Once the core section is complete, the ACS climbs up the building. The outer floors are built on temporary platforms called table forms. The table form sections connect to provide a base for the rebar and concrete. Once the concrete floor has dried, the table forms are removed and used again on a higher floor. It looks simple enough, but with a project this massive, anything can happen. Patrick Pearson begins moving these table-form sections down to the ground for cleaning and inspection. Once they get the all clear, they'll be hauled back up to help build the 36th floor. And that can't happen without the help of the man in the sky. Jan Nudlander, operator of one of two cranes hanging 152 meters off the ground. Jan is the master puppeteer of the Torso project.
Welcome.
His crane is elevated so high and controls so much that his men jokingly refer to it as God. The lift carries Jan most of the way to work, but the last 6 meters he has to climb on his own, straight up a ladder open to the elements. On a calm day, it's all part of the job. But climbing down when it's windy, that's another story.
It's not fun. It's not so fun.
The crew down below is ready and calls up.
Yeah, now it's time.
At the call of the crew, he swings the giant fork at the end of his crane into position. The crew catches it with a guide rod and hauls it in. They slide it under the table form and lock it in place. One slice down, 22 more to go. So far, so good. But the howling winds can kick up at any moment, sending the schedule and the crew reeling. Sweden's most ambitious new tower-rise project, Turning Torso, is already behind schedule. In the past 3 months alone, 10 days have been lost to the weather, and the cost of the construction has gone up by millions. Not easy to explain to the man writing the checks.
The cost has risen. The time has gone, so time costs money.
Johnny Orbach, the politician turned developer who has battled for years to turn his vision into reality.
To giving
His dream started with a photograph of this sculpture designed by world-famous architect Santiago Calatrava.
I looked and saw a sculpture. It had cubes and also this twisting form. And I thought that this could be a residential building. It could be fantastic.
Excited, Orbach approached Calatrava about turning his artwork into a large-scale des res. Calatrava was not so convinced.
He was not so happy about just doing this. He started to make drawings about something different.
Calatrava worried that Malmö, a small industrial town with an abandoned shipyard, few jobs, and no tall buildings, was not the best place to build a luxury tower rise.
They are at home.
But Johnny Orbach took a different view.
Home is together with...
A new bridge put high-rent Copenhagen 8 kilometers drive away from Malmö. And Orbach was convinced that Turning Torso could lure big spenders across the bridge and turn down on its luck Malmö into a new destination spot.
This house, it's art. You are living inside art. People shall point and say, look, that's where I'm living. Coming to get in.
Calatrava was sold. There was only one small problem. He had never designed anything on this scale.
There are two issues who make this building important for me. It's my first housing project, and the second one is my first skyscraper. I mean, it is a double challenge.
Back on the job site, the future of Malmö and Johnny Orbach's career rests in the hands of the men who are working hard to make Turning Torso a reality. The table forms are down and cleaned, and now they'll go right back up to begin the assembly of this week's project, the 36th floor. From above, the crane operator lowers his cable. The men on the ground secure it to the table form. And away she goes. A 120 meters up, the men catch the flying form by hand, taking care not to fall off the edge. No easy feat, and the men spend the entire day dodging death as they steer the pieces into place. Down below, Peter Victorin makes sure that the table form is level. Then the piece is tied to the building's concrete core to fix it in place. Finally, all of the table legs are screwed tight to the floor below, and one table form is complete. The crew prepares to repeat the process 22 more times. By mid-afternoon, the 36th floor is beginning to take shape. From underneath, the table legs create a forest of steel support columns, strong enough to hold the concrete when it's poured above. By the end of the day, every one of the 23 table forms is in place. The crew head for home. They don't have far to go. They live in the shadow of Turning Torso, in this asphalt caravan park, constructed just for them. That's where Patrick Pearson gets the sleep he needs to make it through the week. His home and family are hundreds of kilometers away.
When I chose to be a carpenter, it was because I was quite tired of reading in school, and this was a little bit different. I have a son named Oscar. He's 7 years. Yeah, he's really great. I really miss him when I'm here. At school, my son tells everybody that his father works at Turning Torso, and he's really proud. He loves to come here, stay in the caravan. I had to promise him to keep it after when we're done here.
But there is much to do between now and then, and the heavy lifting begins tomorrow. Friday, day 2 of the 7-day shift for the crew on the Turning Torso. The sun is shining, but the temperature in Malmö hovers just around freezing.
The face, the cheekbones here, gets really cold. We can't cover it enough.
Yesterday's work is an impressive sight. 23 tight-fitting slices of wood and metal ready to mold concrete. But it's not quite time for that yet. Today is all about placing rebar. Rebar is the building's skeleton and the source of its strength. Without it, the concrete would crumble. The team makes it look effortless, but it's no easy feat. That's 1.5 tons of steel flying in. Get caught underneath this, and they can forget the medics. It's dangerous work, but Anders takes it all in his stride.
Everything is heavy. Everything you do is heavy, so it's quite difficult.
The pieces should drop right into place, but as with everything on this project, there are no guarantees. The pipes and ductwork have to be custom cut to fit. Then the pieces are tied together by hand. Meanwhile, out on the edge of the building, the rest of the crew prepares for liftoff. It's the start of today's most dangerous mission, fitting the concrete spine. The concrete spine twists up the torso, part of the support structure that protects the 9 floating backbone sections from the powerful winds that batter the building. But even with so much reinforcement, the building's top floor will sway as much as half a meter in either direction.
Apartments are the highest category, the most difficult one to manage, because in an apartment you are quiet, you are by yourself, you are maybe drinking a coffee, and you don't want to get the feeling you are in a boat.
Fitting the spine section into its housing is a tricky business. It's easy to make a mistake. Bent Eck, or Rocket Man as he's known to the rest of the crew, has just spotted a problem. This bit of rebar is hanging upside down. They'll have to bring it back. This time it works, and now the crew can climb on the building's edge, 120 meters up, to help guide the steel into place. No restraining belts, no safety ropes, no net. Turning torso has no straight angles here, so every concrete spine section has to fit into the one below it, tilted just slightly, at a precise angle. Each piece different from the one below. The job can be frustrating. As the crew upstairs wrestles with the concrete spine, the man in charge works to make certain nothing derails the project. Ingvar Nolin is the Turning Torso's project director. He oversees every phase of production. Ingvar's made a career of managing difficult projects, but he's never seen anything like this.
You're in a process where things are running very fast. Things are happening every day. Every day you come to work, something has happened, and you have to react on that. What shall we do?
Ingvar's current crisis, a problem with the white tubular steel structure that wraps around the building, the steel spine. It's critical to the torso's support, and it is falling apart. Like many other project parts, the pieces of the steel spine were prefabricated off-site. All seem to be in order, but now that the crews are putting it up on the building, the welds are cracking everywhere. Just exactly why is a matter of dispute between Ingvar and his Spanish suppliers.
The contractor made all of them in one step, but now we sit here and they have been tested and tested and tested, and they are still no good. So we have a problem.
Ingvar's solution: re-weld the spine sections in place. The new welds hold, but the added labor is causing a chain reaction of delays. And more wasted time means more wasted money. Each delay can cost the project millions.
It's a domino effect on everything. We have the tiles, we have the marble, we're talking about the painting next week. They are expecting to be able to start, and if we can't do that, I mean, it's disaster. Hello, it's Ingvar.
Ingvar is prepared to confront his suppliers.
I found a book here.
He's been reading up on the Spanish style of management, hoping to find common ground. That doesn't seem likely.
Here's one good one. One chief executive I talked to was proud that his departments did not communicate with each other. This meant that they could not interfere in each other's work. That's a good one. That's good.
His fears are confirmed. The suppliers refuse to pay to correct the problem, and they are holding shipment of the remaining sections needed to assemble the structure. No shipment, no steel spine. No steel spine, no turning torso.
They are not sending a ship until they get the renegotiation of the contract, but that's blackmailing. What they're doing is they are committing suicide.
But back on the 36th floor, the crew is blissfully unaware of the controversy. They're finishing placing the last of 70 tons of rebar. The crew has worked a 10-hour day, and they can't wait to get off the building. Ulrich and Thomas don't just have to get on at work. To save on rent, they're flatmates for the project's duration. So they have to learn to live together too.
Love letters.
Oh, it's empty. No love letters. It's hard for me and Thomas because we are living together, working together. One time we got really angry on each other. About 2 hours after, it's okay.
A little telly, a little sleep, and in the morning, it's back to work. It's Saturday, day 3 of the 7-day shift on the turning torso. The crew prepares to pour concrete. Up on the 36th floor, the men have laid kilometers worth of rebar in grids all over the temporary platform. But right now, all the action is on the ground. Delivering 120 tons of concrete 120 meters up in the air is a tricky business. The crew calls in a team of mixing trucks. The concrete is then fed through the ultimate pump, the Putzmeister. At full bore, the Putzmeister sucks in 1,100 kilograms of concrete every minute and drives it skyward. Up top, each bone-rattling boom shakes the entire 4-floor work area. Supported by the red boom arm, the concrete is squeezed up 8 meters over the work site. Finally, it flows down from a soft rubber hose. And the concrete is in place. Another small victory in this week-long marathon. Saturday. For the crew hard at work on the luxury tower rise turning torso, it's day 3 on the job. But for the boss, it's the weekend. And project director, Ingvar Nolin, is at his country home, kilometers outside of the job site, near the shores of the Baltic Sea. Finally, an escape from the pressures of constant decision-making. Or maybe not.
Hello, Staffan. Further problems. What? With the what? Oh.
More problems with the Spanish steel manufacturers. They still refuse to pay for faulty parts.
Nothing is correct. Oh. That's the game is over, yes, because, I mean, if they can sleep on it, we give them a proposal, and if they don't accept that, we have a new meeting on Tuesday at 11 o'clock. And then we cancel the contract and send them home.
More delays, more money down the drain. So much for getting away from it all. Back on the 36th floor, the crew has laid the concrete, but the job's not finished. To ensure that the floor cures properly, they have to keep it dry, so the entire area is covered with pre-cut sections of steel and wood. Once that's complete, the crew prepares to enjoy a little bit of the weekend themselves. A few pints, a few laughs, and a chance to meet some local lasses.
Some beautiful girls.
Oh, yes.
Saturday nights we're going out to a bar called Mellow Yellow.
While the rest of the guys sit back, Thomas prepares to make his move.
It's from kind of a long way from here. It sounds very different from our speak. They really like the way he talks. And if they don't want to talk to him, he just turns around and take the next table.
Thomas's flatmate Ulrich takes a slightly more philosophical view.
I don't got no girlfriend.
I think it will come. I will find the right one. She will come.
The only trouble with Saturday night is Sunday morning. And the only thing worse than a hangover is a hangover at 120 meters. While the concrete cures on the 36th floor, Ulrich and Thomas move to the 33rd floor and their next assignment, the circular hallway. The circular hall rings around the building's central core and provides a walkway from the lifts to each flat. Thomas has drawn inside duty, where it's safe and warm.
This is the best job in Torso. You can look out. You understand. We got it and we keep it.
Thomas uses the same technique used to build the massive outer floors, with one difference. In this tight space, everything must be completed by hand. When the scaffolds are done, Thomas and the crew lay out a set of platforms to support the floor. Maneuvering about is tricky. Once the handmade ring of table forms is complete, they'll set down a second ring of steel rebar. And then all that's left is to pour the concrete. But the massive pump used for the outer floors above won't fit in this narrow space. So Ulrich and his team are forced to use a smaller, unsupported hose. It spits out 230 kilograms of concrete a minute and kicks like an angry mule. Just the thing for a hangover.
Yeah, that is the force, the power of the pump. It's so heavy. When the pump jerks, it makes me feel like I'm about 100-year-old now.
Hard work, but lots of people are counting on them, including Torso's future residents.
Maybe we change apartment to this level.
Nina and Martin Hetland are among the first to put down nearly £500,000 for a flat at the turning Torso. And the management has invited them over for a sneak preview.
It's great.
You see something there?
Where are we standing now with this?
This here is the middle of the living room.
Okay, so there is where you're going to have your flat screen on that wall?
Yeah, here is the flat screen.
And I would like to have my bookshelf here.
Yeah?
Is it okay?
No, we have to discuss that. The kitchen over here.
Okay, so here is our bedroom.
Yeah.
It would be very interesting to see if the bed is...
will fit in. Think it's good?
Yeah, it would be great.
Okay.
It would be very exciting to go in here.
As the Hetlands admire their new view, The crew is still focused on the task at hand. And still, the wrestling match with the pump continues. Another few hours, and it's over. 20 tons out of the hose and onto the floor. The men are quiet as they apply the finishing touches. Another day done, and still 3 more to go. They're ready for a break. Tomorrow, nature will oblige them. Monday is day 5. The crew is ready for duty, but the weather's turned nasty. Up top, the wind blows hard, making life difficult for the crew as they attempt the crucial job of tying off the steel rebar. Until that's done, they can't pour the concrete for the central core, the building's main support structure. Climbing on rebar in a gale-force wind is not the best way to get the job done. They make a valiant effort and then call for a break. All across the building, various crew members keep watch on the weather. If the wind gets any stronger, they'll have to stop work. And another day will be lost. They can't afford any more delays. Costs are skyrocketing. They've had to raise the price of the flats to compensate, but sales are slow. The management company is not happy. And developer Johnny Orbach is in the hot seat.
The garage area. We meet 2 times per month. My role is to always look at the whole of the project. But of course, when we are talking about the economy and the financial questions, it's my responsibility.
And today, Mother Nature is making Orbach's job more difficult. Wind gusts of over 72 kilometers per hour will trigger an automatic shutdown for the lifts and the cranes hanging in the sky. Jan steadies himself on the swaying tower as he takes a wind reading and relays the information to Lars on the 36th floor. If the wind is blowing more than 20 meters per second, the cranes must shut down. And so the word goes out. No more work for today. Jan climbs down from the crane tower and the site is quickly abandoned. Back in the office, Bjorn Nordgren must break the news to his boss, Ingvar Norlin.
Today has been a lost day, more or less. You know perfectly well, we always have this problem with the weather. Yeah, but I don't know what to do.
The crew gets a day off, and the project goes further over budget. Tuesday is day 6 of the 7-day shift for Ulrich and the crew. The weather's cleared. And while the managers fret over the time lost to weather, Ulrich Olsen prepares to undertake the single most dangerous job on the torso. Moving this 2-ton staircase through an opening 150 meters up at the top of the building. Ulrich is on the ground, loading up a section and giving Jan the all clear to haul it up. Ulrich hops on the lift for the ride to the top, while Jan braces himself for the challenge of dropping a 2,200 kilogram chunk of concrete through a 1-meter slot.
When I can see everything, I can do it. It's not so big problem. But the problem is when I can't see here. For the workers, it can be dangerous. Yeah, you're wrong.
Jan relies on Ulrich to be his eyes and ears. Together, they guide the staircase down by radio. The first challenge, clearing the narrow hatch at the base of the climbing form. The stairs are too far left, so Ulrich orders an adjustment. But it's too much. Centimetre by centimetre, Jan and Ulrich find the way down. The crew guides the staircase, the final metre, by hand. The staircase drops in, a few centimetres too far away from the landing. And not even Ulrich can shove the 2.5 tons into place. It's got to fall in just right, so John has to pull it back up and try again. But there's a big problem that neither Ulrich nor Jan can see. Somewhere above, the crane cable has snagged on the building. It's a tense moment. No one knows what's gone wrong or whether the cable will snap. Suddenly, the cable is freed. The jolt startles Ulrich. But luckily, no one is hurt. They try again. This time, Thomas checks for the proper fit, sliding his hands directly under the dangling slab of concrete. And after some delicate maneuvering, success. Ulrich, Thomas and the crew have survived staircase duty for this week. On the next shift, they'll do it all over again. But for now, they're happy to send the cables back upstairs.
Yeah, it's dangerous, but if you're driving the car, it could be an accident. So that's life.
Back at the office, project manager Ingvar Norlin is dealing with problems of his own. 3 days ago, he threatened to fire the suppliers of the building's faulty steel spine.
We have a new meeting on Tuesday at 11 o'clock, and then we cancel the contract and send them home.
It's now Tuesday, the moment of truth.
Yeah, we are trying on different levels because they have engaged lawyers.
Looks like it's time to bring in the lawyers. Back on the 36th floor, the crew isn't worried about the legal negotiations. They're preparing the finishing touches. If all goes well, they'll soon be done and back on solid ground. They prepare to pour the concrete for the central core. It's time for one last dance with the Putzmeister. But just in the thick of it, the Putzmeister breaks down.
Something has happened downstairs with the pumper taking the concrete up to us, so we'll see.
The shift is already a day behind. If they can't finish the concrete pour today, the crew's week will end in failure. The men check the hose for a blockage, but all seems fine. The problem is on the ground. The pressure is now on the fix-it crew. As the hours tick by, the men's patience grows thin. It's time for Plan B, something everyone on the site was hoping to avoid. The giant cranes are taken off other parts of the project and brought in to haul the concrete. Not very cost efficient, but effective nonetheless. And then suddenly, as quickly as it had stopped, the pump lurches back to life. The Putzmeister works just well enough to finish pouring the core section and save the week's work, for now. One more day, and the crew is free, if there are no more surprises. Wednesday morning, day 7. The marathon week of 12-hour shifts has reached the final term. All of the rebar has been placed, and the concrete for the floors and the core is poured and dry. It has taken 68 back-breaking hours, and the men are feeling it.
This is the longest day, because all day you are going to wait to go home. It's a lot of hours to work. I feel really tired.
The crew prepares for the final and most complicated step. Moving the 154-ton, 4-story automatic climbing structure up 1 story into the empty sky, so that next week's crew can start work on floor 37. It's like jacking an entire petrol station and its employees 2 meters off the ground. The men start by removing the vertical core form sections, revealing the newly dried concrete core behind it. As the team cleans and hoists the core forms, the grand architect of the turning torso, Santiago Calatrava, turns up for a visit. Construction project director Ingvar Nolin shows Calatrava the progress.
We have the Swedish record now in pumping concrete now.
Yeah.
I mean, no one has been pumping concrete so much, so high as we have.
It's very pleasant to see the system working. To see the reality of the site and see how people go into the site. This is always, even for myself, extremely moving. The building is emerging from their own direct work, from their own direct supervision. The site belongs to them, the building belongs to them. They are the real ones who make it, so they are the real heroes.
The core forms are safely stowed for transport. The crew moves the operation inside. At the push of a button, 16 yellow climbing beams are hauled up to the core wall by a series of bright green hydraulic jacks. The climbing beams are now set to hold the ACS in place as it rises. The green jacks are switched over. They will now pull the forms, the platforms, the support beams, and all the entire crew up to the 37th floor. It's the riskiest moment of the week. Peter has the most nerve-wracking job of the lot, controlling the lift as it makes its way up. If he were to push the form up a little too far, the whole structure could collapse and fall, taking everyone with it. For the moment, the success of the turning torso rests on the tip of Peter's thumb and his index finger. It takes 30 minutes for the 154-ton climbing structure to rise. But once it's in place, floor 36 is done. Completed in 7 days, the crew revels in another hard-earned victory. Future residents of the turning torso may never think twice about the incredible combination of muscle, skill, and good humor of the men who built it. But for the crew members who make it happen, the sense of pride is evident.
All of us working there, when it's coming to summertime and people are talking about it, you can say, we did that bad winter on top of that building.
It doesn't matter if I built a small bridge or a big tower, because if I'm going over with my car on a small bridge and I got my friends in my car, I always told them, this is my bridge. So I'm proud of what I've done before, and I'm proud over this. so that's okay.
The work on the turning torso will continue 1 floor a week until they reach the 54th floor. While the men all made it down safely, the budget problems did claim one casualty. The man who first envisioned the turning torso, Johnny Orbach. He was replaced as chief executive officer of the company building the torso. Still, Orbach's dream lives on.
You must have love, and you must have food, and you must have a beautiful place where you can live. That makes happy people.
And with just 18 floors to go, Orbach's dream will soon become a reality.